you are like like I read, a 4th generation beekeeper?
I am. My mom's side of the family is an agricultural family. My mom's farm has been in the family for generations, and you know, old school farms had beehives on them because the agriculture was much smaller and you needed it to pollinate your crops to increase crop yield. So a lot of times farmers were also beekeepers to have bees on their properties, and so my grandfather has been keeping bees for about 75 years. He started when he was in college at NC State. My uncle started much younger, but he went to NC State and took Introduction to Bees and Beekeeping a generation before I went to NC State and took Introduction to Bees and Beekeeping from the same professor. So
now wait, why did you, coming from this beekeeping family, have to take the intro? It seems like you could like teach it.
I didn't know anything about bees really till college.
Okay.
So it was, I really loved the horses and the cows, and we used to be much more like a cattle farm than a large-scale beekeeping operation. So I was very much into that side of the agriculture, and then I fell in love with the bees when I took Introduction to Bees and Beekeeping.
Okay. So this is a first on Techrides in a couple of ways. One is we've had multiple people in the car, but we've never had so many people or guests in the car. And now we've got rain. Fall in love with the bees at school, and then how does this idea to like put bees in corporate environments come along?
So I wanted a beehive when I was in college. It was my junior year. I really wanted a hive. I asked my apartment complex if I could have one. They said no. So I asked the company that I was interning for if I could put a beehive on their rooftop, and they said yes, go for it. And it was also the campus that houses Burt's Bees World Headquarters. Oh, okay. And Burt's Bees didn't have any bees at the headquarters, so they were excited. They wanted bees. So our first, the first 2 partners we had at Bee Downtown in North Carolina were very big names.
When you got them installed, was that like as a business, or you just wanted the bees at like the first one?
It was just a project. Like, it was never meant to be a full-time business. And then, I'm a dreamer, and I go big really fast, and then all of a sudden I was like, maybe this could be a business. So I went to my parents and I asked if they would invest in my living expenses for the first year. And the deal was, I pitched, like, we had a Shark Tank episode in our living room with my parents, full pitch deck. They told me to leave, they deliberated, I came back, and they told me I had 1 year to be profitable, pay myself a livable wage, and show growth.
When you start the business for real, then what is the business model? You're like going to go out and say, hey, how do you start? How do you do that first call? Like, how do you even?
It was a sustainability play. It was, we'll put beehives on your campus. Every 3rd bite of food people eat is thanks to a honeybee. The honeybees are dying at alarming rates, so we can help because studies show bees thrive in urban environments. They really see the value in the services Bee Downtown provides, of the 90-minute hive tours, or the honey tastings, or the winter beekeeping classes, the leadership development courses. They really see the value in that, so that's what now Bee Downtown charges for.
Got the bees and the services, and then you're also doing this leadership development courses, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that. What do those courses offer?
So I come from a family of storytellers, and then the bees are one of Mother Nature's best storytellers, and they've been telling us a story of their decline that everybody knows pretty well at this point. But another story that started to come forth with the bees the more time we spent with them is that they can teach us so much about leadership. And there's so many analogies that you can pull from a beehive about what it means to be an effective leader. So we've been building for the last year with a retired colonel from the U.S. Army who is a professor emeritus at Duke University. He's Army War College, an expert in leader development, the BDT Institute. So it's all based in a field of study called biomimicry, and it's looking at naturally occurring processes to solve real-world problems. So we take the inspiration from what you can see and learn in a beehive and apply that to effective leadership characteristics or effective team characteristics.
Okay. So give me some examples of.
Yeah. So if we look at it from an individual level, the beekeeper, when they go to work the hives, they come fully prepared every time they approach the hive to work the hive. Everything they do with the intention to help, and the service over self mentality of leaving the hive better than you found it. And for an effective leader, that you have to have that service over self mentality. You have to come prepared for work every day to do your best job. If you're not prepared, things go wrong, you can't fix them. And the way the beekeeper approaches the hive to do no harm is how, as leaders, we should lead.
So like a servant leadership, which is also kind of how the queen bee is, right? Because the queen bee is really serving the entire hive.
She is. She's not the queen like we think the queen would be. She does not reign in the hive.
She's not giving everybody orders.
Yeah, there's accountability in this beehive, and one of the things that is a quote from Joe that I love is. A beekeeper is an enabler of the natural capacity of bees to do their good work. An effective leader is an enabler of the natural capacity of their teams to do just the same. There are times where as a beekeeper you have to step in and shepherd the hive along and help the hive, but the majority of the time you let them do what they do best and you're hands off. And good leaders are the same way. They know when they do need to step in and help the team and the business, but they also trust their team. What I love about it is you only learn when you're uncomfortable. When you're placed in these opportunities of discomfort is when you really learn.
The worker bees are kind of cool because we were talking earlier that each bee will progress through its lifetime to do different roles, and they'll kind of learn different jobs. Right?
They will. And what's super cool about that piece of it, and what we talk about a little bit in regards to high performance teams, is that if something happens to the hive where the majority of the forager bees, which are the oldest bees that go out to pollinate, if there was something that happened like a chemical interaction and the bees were not able to come back, the hive would register that and they would move the other bees faster through their jobs so that they can have more forager bees out to support. So if something happens inside the hive and they lose a lot of the nurse bees and younger bees, the forager bees will revert back to older jobs. They're not as productive in them as they used to be, but they know how to do the job. And with companies, you as a leader, you can't just know your role. You have to be able to revert back and help when it's needed. Right. And you see that a lot with effective leaders, but you see that not happening a lot with ineffective leaders.
And I think a lot of times to be an effective leader, it's good to have done the jobs that you're asking other people to do, right? Because you can better understand it, explain it, coach them. And the male bees you mentioned earlier don't really do any work.
They don't.
Yeah, that's
They're
kind
lazy little suckers.
Yeah, so they just kind of hang out in the hive there.
Yeah, they kind of hang out. They'll go on like one flight a day. They're there for reproduction, and but they don't cook, they don't clean, they don't take care of the other bees, and
they don't write.
They do nothing. Absolutely nothing. So come winter, the girls kick all of them out and they all die. And that's how we know the hive is preparing for winter, because they don't need the boys anymore. The boys also eat more food than the girls. Yeah, you'll see them dead at the front of the hive. You'll see all the boy bees dead at the front of the hive. And the majority of the hive is always female. It's 100% female during the winter. And right now I'd say it's about like 90 to 95% female. So it is a female entity.